What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review what might be the debut project by Mysonne. Basically, this project is called The Definition of a G, the New York General, and it came out in the late spring in 2010. So the thing about this particular project is this is another project here from Datpiff's Underbelly as far as this pitch can happen. If you don't know about Mysonne, he's kind of a cat that was kind of around that was pseudo-affiliated with Hopsin in like the early 20s. Mysonne was pseudo kind of affiliated with Hopsin like the early 2010s. He dropped a single in 2012 called The Ill Mind or Real Mind of Mysonne, which was kind of a spin-off of like The Ill Mind of Hopsin. Now last year I kind of forgot about reviewing a project that particular song was on. It's not actually on a project officially, but a pretty unofficial cat that was pretty dope, comprised like all the Ill Mind of Hopsins and the Real Mind of Mysonne into like a mixtape, which I reviewed back in February 2024. So you can find that review. It's a pretty dope mixtape. Definitely worth checking out for like the fare behind it. Now the reality of it is the mixtape's kind of, it's not so much here and there, but it's just kind of concept that it has songs that were for retail as far as this pitch can happen. So I just would pay attention, but there are some songs that are free that are worth downloading it for within the pitch. But I look after it. So yeah, Jackal Goldkick basically had talked about this particular mixtape. I wanted to get towards it. We had done a collaboration video not too long ago talking about the fact that he had found some mixtapes on Datpiff, and this is one of the ones that he had found back in the day as far as this pitch can happen. So I wanted to check out this mixtape, and I kind of had forgotten that he was kind of like a pseudo kind of affiliate to Hopsin. It's unfortunate there weren't any songs with Hopsin on any of his projects, but I wanted to check out this one just to see this project salt. And I will say this is a classic mixtape here. This is another one from Datpiff's Underbelly that just continues to have that particular hit flair. Probably wouldn't have found this particular project normally, but it's a good type pitch to kind of remember about it just because Mysonne did have some good stuff. Now, the reality of it was he had a series of mixtapes as well. He kind of came up somewhat. It was kind of within the pitch. I don't know how many lead singles he had. It seemed like when I looked him up on Rate Your Music, it was kind of the concept that apart from like the Real Mind of Mysonne and maybe like one or two other singles, he was always kind of more of like an underground and kind of mixtape rapper. But just within the pitch, this is some good type fare. And just judging by from one of his debut projects here, this is class act just to be able to have. It's just kind of the concept. He's kind of like Hopsin, just in a more NY type sense. He does have that NY type flavor, just kind of a concept. And it's an interesting type flavor to kind of get some of this, just because there weren't a ton of really NY type rappers I can think of around this time, apart from Cameron and Vado and some of those type folks that were kind of on the Datpiff mixtape scene. So it's an interesting type flair, touching base with like some NY type folks that were around in like the late 2000s, early 2010s mixtape era. Just most of the folks I was fucking with from that particular scene was like Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Slim Duncan, folks like that, Yo Gotti, Meek Mill, Rick Ross mostly. I guess Meek Mill was kind of almost from the East Coast, but just within the pitch that this is a good, nice one that's just like in the root of NY, the skyscraper type buildings, pitches like that, that standard sludgy grime as far as this pitch can happen. So there are some good guests on here. Mysonne, for one of his initial projects, gets some pretty good pulls on here. He has both Styles P and Jadakiss on here. He has a cat named Mo Money, which is pretty dope. He does have some good affiliates. The Game is actually on here on one of these songs. Now he's not on, the Game is not on an original song, but he is at least on one of the mixtape type songs. There's only one mixtape type song that's similar to like a Lil Wayne format, which raps to Lloyd Banks' Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. Then there's a chica on here named Canary Diamond, so I haven't heard of. I'll have to figure out who that is. But as far as this first going to happen, same thing with Mo Money. But I look after just being able to say, so basically out of the 19 songs on this mixtape, there are 16 songs that are actually songs, 3 of which are interludes and skits as far as this pitch can happen. So 16 songs in here, and out of those 16 I wound up recommending 14. Out of those 16 I wound up recommending 14. So the only 2 songs I don't recommend in any fashion would just be the song 5 Star Generals and then the song Going Down. So basically to talk about those songs real quick. Now it's not so much that 5 Star Generals and Going Down are bad songs, it's just kind of the pitch of like the frequency as to how often I would listen to them. It just seems less likely within the tone behind it. But Going Down kind of reminds me of like The Mob and Fly In and Fly Out by Lil Wayne off of his The Carter 2 album. It has that same sort of soulful kind of just fleetingness about it, which is a good type pitch, but I just question like the oftenness of it. When I was listening to it last night, I kind of felt like it didn't hit me as much, but now I kind of look after it, maybe it hits me a little bit more. I mean, either way, it doesn't matter as much because this mixtape is going to get a 10 out of 10, but that is one that has similarities to like Lil Wayne and The Carter 2, so I look within it. It's kind of a dope concept within the pitch behind it, but I just look after it. It just depends. I don't know, I was just on the fence more about it before, but I would I'd say I might recommend it more now. So it's just within the pitch behind it. But then 5-Star Generals is a real kind of aloof and kind of pompous type one. Not to say pompous in a bad way, but it just really has like some blue blood kind of veneer about it. It just really reminds you of something that where you would be kind of, it does feel like a 5-Star General type song. It's very elitist just within the pitch behind it, which is pretty dope to kind of get within that tone just within the pitch. But I don't know, I just question the concept of, it's just a little bit more of like an enriched type format that just makes you question if you're just going to like Walmart or Target or something, just the concept of having some of that just when you just have standard kind of everyday errands and just kind of more mundane type stuff, it just doesn't feel as emphatic within the pitch. But it's not to like that's a bad tangent, but it's just kind of the concept is just within the fair. You're just going to McDonald's and Walmart. It's not as much full bound, but it's just within the pitch. You just look after it. So it's a good type tone for that. But it's within the tone, so it has Styles P on there, which is a pretty good pitch. It's a good taste of like enriched kind of blue bloodness, just what I'd say. But yeah, this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. So basically almost every song on here I do recommend in some fashion. Just when I talk about the 2 songs I didn't, but there's some definite nice ones on here. No Snitching is a nice one. It's like a droopy kind of high as hell residential commute to kind of get here. Just some low key traffic. I would feel like an errands definitely about some of this particular fare. Just simple day kind of tune. Just some good song for some snacks and some of that likeness it has. So it's a good concept. Get some snack cakes, get some Chex Mix, some of that type fare. Just kind of the concept. But this is one of those type ones where the bass guitar really sets in. It's similar to like Gucci Mane's Lemonade and like Nirvana's Lithium, some of those type ones. Just a very droopy type one that just feels like you're real scuzzed out as far as those pitch kind of happen. Great song to smoke to. I'd have to say just within the concept, just some good type fare. But the concept of the lyrics is a little bit different. It's a little bit actually edgy within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of the concept of maybe being stoned as hell, but just kind of pissed off in the same fashion. So it's just not. It's a little bit more abrasive a song compared to like the production type conduct of it, but still a good type one kind of get within the pitch because it is a lazy type song. That's a nice one. There's some club type songs on here I definitely feel like are pretty glitzy. I do like some of these on here, like Grinders Anthem, Money. It's like a glitzy kind of NY dance stepper to kind of get here. It just reminds me of like low key kind of LOL. Reminds me definitely like some low key kind of Locks, which is Jadakiss, Styles P, Chic Luch, that group name, or DMX type hopper to kind of get within those pitches. And this is like some big city flash. So this is some of the most immediate ones to go for. I feel like songs like Grinders Anthem, Money, Getting Close to the Money, Drunk Off the Henny, and like there's one other song, like I forget what it is, like I think it's Random Niggas, or well yeah, Random Niggas is a pretty nice one, but there's another one I'm trying, Funny Style Niggas, that are like some ones, about 5 songs that have like that social kind of obsessed. So I'm definitely glad. It seemed like when I was paying attention to the lyrics on Real Mind of Mysonne from 2012, the single that he dropped, he seemed less into like club hopping and more socialized. From what I remember back in 2024, not recommending that particular song. I remember not recommending Real Mind of Mysonne as much as I remember like Mysonne kind of being somewhat of like kind of like not necessarily prissy, but just the concept a little bit more clean cut and just kind of more like, I remember Mysonne just being a little bit more clean cut, prissy, and just kind of more like, there's a word for it that I'm not able to describe. It's just kind of within the pitch, just a little bit more pristine, just within the concept as far as not wanting to get fucked up and smoke and have like some more frenetic type living, just more taste of the good life and quick life. Because that's how Hobson is. If you didn't know, Hobson is not really much into like the full-blown kind of TGIF party lifestyle. So Mysonne kind of brought the Hobson's fold and kind of did that, and I thought that's originally what Mysonne was like, but he actually isn't. It's just within the pitch. But just he does have like some good socializing type songs in there. At least 5 of these, some good just step out type fairs. Not to have problems with folks who do want to not just get edged out as far as to not have edginess, but it is recommended. I mean, it's just some good concepts of just looking after the pitch, grabbing like a box of beer when listening to this particular album, just making some gas station runs within the pitches. It really enhances this within this project is like a real good enhancement of having some turn up type living just within the pitch bond. It has plenty of these songs in here just for some of that type fare. It's not like songs like Drunk Off the Henny, obviously, Getting Close to the Money, some of these type ones, but just within the tone. So Grinders Anthem, Money is a real nice glitzy club type one, probably one of the most flashy ones. I'm not really as full bound sure if there were any music videos dropped from this project back in these early days. Like I said, I think one of Mysonne's debut singles was Real Mind of Mysonne, but I look after it, it's just kind of the concept. He does have some great buzz songs within the pitch that probably could have had some relative kind of rough draft music videos or something like that. But Getting Close to the Money is another nice one. It's like a nice electro dance venue highlight to kind of get here. Mixtape Buzz Starter, I would definitely feel like good dap and fizzy type of feel about this particular one. So it's just some good type concepts. There are some ones that have the relative aspect, like some good pop rap. Not necessarily pop rap type of feel, but just at least a little bit more above ground within the pitch. Just some attempts at trying to get forth as far as those pitches going to happen. For the most part, like I've been saying, I feel like Mysonne is just kind of more of an underground type dude, but I look after he does have some of these attempts, and some of these club type moments are fun, on top of the fact that he's lyrical. These are fun, and they just have the concept on top of that of just trying to break for like more commonplace grounds that just have like the aspect of just like some dance crazes that just work socially. So it's a good social, it's a pretty good net for social wise, I'd have to say. J.O. is a nice one. It's like a relative kind of mixtape makeshift push to kind of get here, I'd have to say. Just some jazzy traverse in like a two-step type fashion, I'd have to say. Pretty similar to like Cameron, some of those type of ones he would do on like his 2004 album Purple Haze, or Kill a Season from 2006, or even 2009's Crime Pays. Some of those type pitches just has like a real good Dipset type feel about it, and this is some good outs to kind of get here. So just one of those type ones, similar to like My Job by Cameron, some of those type songs from like mid 2000s, late 2000s Cameron, some of those type pitches, like I was saying, just kind of a makeshift push, just traverse, just kind of in a dancing type mode, but just kind of amidst like the car pitches like that, just kind of feeling good, just kind of singing along with it, just kind of the pitch, and just having some enjoyment just within the concept, but still being bustled enough to kind of get your tasks done as far as those pitches kind of having just some good feeling type outs, just kind of big city type flash, stuck in traffic, but just in a good jive about it. So it's kind of one of those ones of just getting the last moment task before listening to songs like Getting Close to the Money and Grinder's Anthem. I had to say just a little bit of Tuesday, Wednesday. I feel like J.O.'s a little bit of Tuesday, Wednesday type music. Getting Close to the Money, Grinder's Anthem are more Thursday, Friday, but it's just some good type fares. Probably one of my more favorite songs, I think you could probably guess, would be Drunk Off the Henny. This is a pretty nice one on here. It's like a sleepy and brewing kind of venue ambience kind of get here. Just feeling nice. Definitely some TGIF type enjoyment and some social sparking to kind of have within that sense. Another good social highlight. Just a good type pitch to kind of be able to have some of these. It's a real glared type beat just in the pitch behind it. Just real drowsy. Not quite as droopy as No Snitching, but definitely within the aspect of just like some venue noise. Just like some good, just kind of enjoying yourself at a night venue as far as those pitch kind of happen. Just you and some pals just buying like a couple bottles of Hennessy or just pitches like that. It's kind of the concept of just mingle, just out and about, just a good bellas type mingle, kind of figure out what's going on. Just kind of that social pizzazz about things, just in like the standard glitz of like a Thursday and Friday. Real nice one on here that has like some good kind of enriching kind of like NY appeal is All I Know. It's like an enriched kind of chandelier like city commerce kind of get within these pitches. Just a good taste of Mixtape NY. I would definitely feel like kind of some bustled in motion kind of runs to kind of have within those tones as far as those pitches kind of have. So it's just good type pitch for that. This is just one of those ones that you would get from like a typical kind of NY type mixtape rapper, or someone like Jim Jones or Cameron, some of those type folks within the pitch behind it. It's real. This probably has one of the best beats on here in terms of like the standard fare that's not for like a night venue type song or a dance venue, a night venue type song or a dance venue type song, but just within the pitch as far as being able to say that it's just kind of one that's just more amidst the big city that just kind of has that and just has that entrenched type fashion about it. So like I do like the concept of Mysonne kind of being on the go on this particular project. He's not so much like a full bound busybody, but he does have some stuff kind of in mind as far as this pitch kind of having just kind of the concept of just not staying in one spot for too long as far as this pitch kind of having just within the aspect kind of behind it. So some good type fare, get some of those type moments. This real enriched type one, just like the tone behind it, just feels like something you would expect from like some sort of royalty rapper. Pretty similar to 5-Star Generals just within pitch, but just a little bit more weaving in between the cities, I'd have to say. So a good pitch for that. Like I was saying, another night venue song would be Funny Style Niggas. And some of these type songs on here are less than 2 minutes. So some of these are just like a verse or two just within the pitch behind it. But these are all some nice ones as far as those fares going to happen. So the Funny Style Niggas is like a spicy and snappy kind of venue turn up to kind of get here. I'd have to say just a nice treat for some socials. I would definitely feel like, and it goes with Getting Close to the Money, I'd have to say, and some of those type ones, like I was saying, just good type tone, just real nice quickie kind of have within that particular fare. Just real good aspects. Samples Jadakiss on the hook as far as those fares going to happen. Just good particular aspect to kind of get some of that fieriness. Random Niggas is also a pretty hot one as well. It's like a fiery kind of 300 movie like Random Niggas is like a fiery kind of 300 movie like Gladiator like bravado, I'd have to say about this particular song. This reminds me of like, there was a song by Royce the 5'9" I didn't used to like as much off of his 2011 album. I forget what it was called, but it had Eminem on there. I think it was called like Writer's Block or something like that. It's pretty similar to that particular one. nowadays I probably would recommend Writer's Block, but it also reminds me of the stuff that King Gordy kind of does when he has some of his most ferocious type turn up. There's also like a song by Fat Joe called 300 Brawler that's pretty similar to that particular song. Similar to 300 Random Niggas is similar to 300 Brawler by Fat Joe, and Random Niggas is similar to 300 Brawler by Fat Joe, and some Gladiator type music by King Gordy and pitches like that. Some of those type fairs that I'd say just a snappy treat for some city stepping and a good energizer. I would definitely feel like about this song, and it just pulses really well. Just a good type tone for some of that type fair. It's a good type pitch. This really feels like something if you're just out in like the yard at your home as far as those pitches can happen with. This is a little bit more residential type one. This is not as much full blown kind of city hopping within the pitch behind it, but just more residential bound. If you have like a night, if you have like a good house party that's getting ready to happen, or you're just waiting for a pizza or just some pitches like that, you're getting ready to go pick up like a movie or a video game, something like that. Just some of those type fairs and just getting ready for some excitement. Just a great primer. It's like, hey, the pizza's gonna be here in the next 35 minutes. We've got some smokage, we've got some hella bottles and drink. The ladies are getting ready to show up as far as those pitch kind of happens to get ready to pop off. It's just a good type tone for some of those type fairs within it. But I mean, obviously, listen to the lyrics. It has a different composition, but it's just a good type tone for some of that excitement. G Talk is a nice one. Now, this particular song reminds me of like a more busy kind of 50 Cent type feel, just within a city push of it. I'd have to say it's just kind of a city push amidst like the commute. I'd have to say just within the tone, just snack run or hustle type tune, kind of get within those pitches. G Talk definitely reminds me of 50 Cent and like the hook. I would have to say as far as those pitches kind of happen, but it's just kind of. This is another one that just kind of feels a little bit more just busy, like I was saying. Not so much like full blown emotion, just kind of like cruising along fastly, but just kind of within the pitch and just getting like just stuff on your mind. Just gotta get those errands done, snack run, bills pay, some of that type of particular fare, get some money up, hustle type tune. So then standard pitch, just a vanilla kind of NY mixtape type tune, kind of get within those pitches, but works for what it is. Real affable type one. Try Your Luck is a nice one. This has some real good grime about it. This like a snaring kind of city gloom to kind of get here. Just a great song for smokage trip. Sounds like a great song for some smokage. I'd have to say just a trip and just a trip hard kind of brooding evening. This particular song is like a trip hard kind of brooding evening. This particular song is like a trip hard kind of brooding evening malaise kind of get here, and it's just some good grime kind of have within those aspects. I just would have to say it has a Jadakiss feature on here, which is a pretty good type fare for that. Just two lyricists going in within those particular type fares. This reminds me of something like the Wu-Tang type fashion, Mobb Deep, some of those type folks in particular, as far as that particular kind of happens with it. Just good aspects to be able to get a lot of this particular just type dopeness just in the concept behind it. But it's just basically like some NY type grime, just basically like getting like a Mobb Deep kind of mixtape cut within those pitches, just that same sort of griminess and just sludge factor, just of like city weaving. It's kind of out and about in like the evening type fare, I'd say, just malaise about it, just good head trip type stuff, kind of get within that just for like some lyrical snap. Hustlers Killers is a nice one. It's like a dope new spin on like Kanye West's Jesus Walk song. I'd have to say in particular, just basically has the bump type part of that particular song. Good type pitch for that. It's like some basic kind of evening push here. I'd have to say it's a good song to get a few errands done. I mean, this is a pretty vanilla type song on here. It's actually surprising that that Mysonne decided to sample this particular part of the song as far as those pitches kind of happen. Interesting type one to kind of have for some of that particular type fare, but it just works as just like a basic kind of just commerce just within the pitch behind it. This is another one pretty much like J.O. song, just not quite as in a feel-good kind of. I'd say Hustlers Killers is pretty much like the J.O. song, just not as chipper within the ambience behind it. It's just a little bit more of just gotta have some standard push of just like the makeshift kind of data in the pitch behind it. This would be like a Hustlers makeshift, just kind of tasks out and about just within the pitch behind it, just standard runs of just getting like envelopes and pitches like that, some standard type fare, getting some cell phone bills paid, maybe picking up like McDonald's or Arby's, some of that type fare, just kind of within the pitch of just that standard kind of city, big, just that standard kind of residential grime just within the pitch behind it. Just not quite as sludgy as songs like Try Your Luck and some of those type ones, or like other ones like No Snitch and some of those type ones, but just a good aspect to kind of have for some of that just vanilla kind of evening malaise. Good type concept for that. Niggas is a nice one. Now this is probably another one of my more favorite ones on here. It's a real aspected type one. Just has, I mean, a lot of these are some of my more favorite ones, but this is one that really stands out in like a more horrorcore type sense. So it's a good type fashion just because Hobson did horrorcore. It's a good type pitch to almost get like Mysonne attempted some of this, like a ghostly kind of autumn music here. There's some lyrical snares I'd say about this particular song. Just a crisp kind of out in the city weaving I'd have to say about this particular song. Just a snack run and quick task kind of song, kind of get within that aspect. So just kind of the concept of just the song Niggas is just like some NY kind of horrorcore as far as this pitch kind of happen. This New York flavor kind of horrorcore reminds reminds me of something like King Gordy or Bizarre would kind of do this in a more alert type fashion. Pretty similar to songs like Random Niggas, just without the gladiator type aspects about it, just without saying in particular good type fare, but just real ghostly and spectral within the tones behind it. Just good aspects kind of have for some of that hauntingness, good type tone. Then Actor's Life is a nice one as well. Now this is one that I do like some of these gladiator type ones on here. This reminds me definitely of like Random Niggas and a little bit of the other song that's similar to that, Niggas. I'd have to say this is like a dramatic and piercing kind of City Damage to kind of get within that tone. Just a hellish kind of night of bravado, I would feel like here. Once again reminds me of like King Gordy and Royce the 5'9", some of those type folks that I'd say it's like some urban loud pack. I would definitely feel like hearing just a local party primer to kind of get within those pitches. So if you got a pizza that's showing up within the next 30 minutes, you're just out in the backyard or front yard just having a good time, just waiting for some things to show up just within those pitches. Just kind of an aspect of getting held turned up, but just kind of more in the excitement of just getting ready to have for some of that type fair. Some good type concepts for that, I would definitely have to say. So it's a good type pitch to kind of get within that aspect there, just would have to suppose. So yeah, just some good bounties of some things. So just pretty much like a good taste. Like some of these are residential bound within a sense, but some of these are some city hopping and makeshift. So some good, particular this aspect, this excellent type flair kind of get within a lot of these. Is the pitch of switching between day shift, not as many full bound type songs like J.O. within the makeshift type sense, but definitely within a Hustler's makeshift. Just kind of has the aspect of between about 3:30 p.m. to about 6:15. Some of those type fairs within a lot of with also like a lot of just night venue type hopping and pitches like that, and also like some standard kind of mixtape Mob Deep type crowds. So it's good type pitches for some of that. Just kind of midst like just between about 3 p.m. to about 10 p.m. pitches like that. Some of that standard type fair, good type stuff for that with some smoker songs, some drink songs, some of that type fair. Just good pushes. Just within the aspects I'd say. And also talk about Revolver, the semi, like I was saying, this is just a good spin on like Beamer, Benz, or Bentley, just in the pitch. These rappers go in on this song pretty well. Both like the Canary Diamonds and the Game help out Mysonne on this particular song, and it works pretty well. So apparently Mysonne and the Game have collaborated in the past as well. It's on one of his Perp and Patron mixtapes. As far as those pitches I'm going to have to check out some of that type of but just within the pitch. So I look after it. 10 out of 10 score just in the pitch behind it. Basically every song on this project now, basically virtually every song on this mixtape I recommend. So it's just in the pitch, just being able to say it has some good emphatic and overall fun type flair to kind of get towards just an aspect of the delivery behind it. The Soja score is kind of tricky. I think I'll give the Soja score probably like a 9.5 out of 10 just in the pitch, because it does have the social gems on here. Just in this particular product does have the social gems on here just within the pitch behind it, but it's just kind of the concept of just questioning how much full bound Mysonne's kind of social appeal kind of is. I feel like most folks, if you don't know who Hopsin is and you don't realize that he did like a spin off of like a Hopsin song, he doesn't really have as many social singles on this particular product. He does affiliate with like Jadakiss and Styles P. The Game is on here, Canary Diamonds, some of those type folks, Mo Money. But it's just kind of within the pitch of just saying that he doesn't really have like a song that really goes for grabs. If you're looking for like extra Jadakiss, if you're just on like a Jadakiss or Locks Kick, as far as those pitches can happen, there are a couple sample type songs from Jadakiss, and there is like some mild kind of affiliation with him as far as those pitches can happen. But apart from that, he's probably the biggest name on here just in terms of like the social appeal. I mean, there are some songs on here, but like I said, this is very much a product of this like Datpiff's kind of underbelly. I would almost doubt whether or not this particular mixtape had even more than 5,000 or 10,000 downloads on Datpiff back in the day when it shut down in 2023. So it's just kind of within the pitch. Not a bad product here. It's just kind of within the pitch that it's just a more uncommon one just within the pitch behind. I think it, like I said, Mysonne's at least big enough where he had some of these folks like Jadakiss, Styles P. was just within the pitch as far as saying that it's just a lot more within the relative underbelly. Not as much compared to like folks like, like some of these folks like I've been finding, like when you think of like YG Hootie and some of those type folks, but it's within the same fashion. I think Mysonne was probably worth maybe $100,000 or $80,000, somewhere within those particular type pitches, somewhere within that aspect. I don't know if he was a millionaire, but he definitely probably had at least 5 or 6 digits worth of money within a mild sense. It's just within the tone, but it just works for within it. That's just the true web of Datpiff. It's just how many of these mixtapes that folks really did have some good money, but they weren't millionaires. So it's just in the pitch of just being able to say that affability. But yeah, just look after the 9.5 social. I mean, it has the social songs like Drunk Off the Henny, Getting Close to the Money, J.O., Grinders Anthem Money, some of these type ones, funny style niggas, like, random niggas, some of these type of ones. A lot of these type ones have some great, excellent social snap on here just in the pitches behind it. There's some other ones I'm trying to think of, but it's overall good type of feel. It's pretty balanced. That product has plenty of social. It's just the fact that he's just lesser known. Just doesn't have like that commercial breakthrough in terms of like a radio song, but there are some ones that do attempt it and do nail it. It's just in the pitch. That's the tone. So in terms of the future, like Mysonne, not really as full bound sure what he's been up to nowadays. I'd have to say within the pitch behind it's just kind of the concept that he dropped a series of mixtapes. He might have had some mild Hobson affiliation. I don't know if they ever did any songs. I'm looking to see if I can find some of those to review some of those. But just within the fashion, I'd say this is a classic mixtape here, just in the aspect. I'm glad to have gotten the tip off from Jackal Goldkick as far as this product being good, because it's definitely a pretty dope one in terms of like the more underground type fare within the pitch, and just within the more underground, lesser known type appeal of this particular picture, and this has the aspect of having some good conduct, and this is pretty much like a classic mixtape from like the early 2010s mixtape type grind, I'd have to say.